Hey, it's Seth, and thanks for checking out my channel. So this is a video about my winter hammock backpacking setup. This is what I would bring for probably down to 0 degrees. A soft 0 degrees, not much wind, pretty sheltered, but I feel comfortable in this down to 0. I'm just going to show you what I got. I've only been winter backpacking for 2 seasons, so I'm by no means an expert. I'd appreciate any comments or criticism you might have, so please drop a comment below, and I'm just going to show you what I got. So for starters, what I would be wearing, I have some synthetic underwear here. Pants would be the REI Activators. I got these a couple years ago and I love them. They are water resistant, wind resistant. They have a little bit of insulation to them. I'd wear these down to probably, I don't know, 10 degrees maybe by themselves, because they are fairly warm, I found. Great pockets. Yeah, just good pants. I really am glad I picked them up. Top layer, I would just go with what I use when I run, this cold compression shirt. Keeps me very warm. I figure most of the time when I'm backpacking, I'm just moving at a decent clip. So I wear this and I layer it with this synthetic puffy. I've had this for years. I'm a big fan of it. And I'll just wear these two together and take the puffy on and off as I get hot. And that works really well. This synthetic layer dries out quick, it keeps me warm, so I'm very happy with it. Socks, I got some REI socks. They go well with my, these are the Merrell Polar 8s. I've had these for the last few seasons, maybe 4 seasons now. They have 400 grams of insulation. They've kept my feet plenty warm. I'd wear these down to about 0 degrees and be fairly confident in them. So I'm happy with these boots. I have a pair of really old janky gaiters. I bought these on consignment for $5. They're just garbage at this point, so I really need to replace them, but that's what I've been using. And then a beanie on my head and some fleece gloves to start out with. All right, so let's get to the backpack. Well, I got poles first of all, of course. As for the pack, it is an Osprey Atmo 65 liter. This is my 3rd season with it. Big fan of it. It's just got a lot of compartments, a lot of bells and whistles, and I dig it a lot. Like all the Osprey packs I have, it's got this mesh pocket in the back, which is great for just shoving stuff. You don't need to worry too much about getting exposed to the elements. The first thing I'll do is take off the snowshoes. So I got one on each side. These are the MSR Lightning Ascents. I just got them, so I haven't really had a chance to use them yet, but I have no doubt they will be great. And I was very excited to find that they were really easy to clip in on the sides here using just a couple straps that the pack has. All right, so here at the bottom I got a foam pad. This is just great for having around the camp to store stuff on. Now you can also use it as a seat. Of course, you can also use it as insulation if you need it, but I don't use a pad in my hammock, but it's lightweight and worth bringing. I also have a couple other things attached here using the same straps. Got my micro spikes, you know, they'll just dangle in the back till needed. On the other side, I have my mug. It's a very lightweight plastic mug that I will use around camp. And then the foam pad, standard foam pad, lightweight. I could rip it up if I really wanted to, save some weight and serve the same function. Probably should, but you never know. If I do use it, I do use it occasionally to sleep in the car. So for the big mesh pocket, I do have 2 things in there. These are my over boots for camp, so I can use these once I'm ready for bed and I have my down booties on. I can put them in here and still walk around camp and not worry about my down booties getting wet. They work very well, and they're not light, but I do like having them with my down booties, and I'm not ready to give them up. And fuel for my stove. I'm using the Whisper light on this trip, and it uses white gas. There's a zipper on the bottom to access the main compartment. I can't use it because I use a garbage bag that lines the entire backpack, but it's there if you wanted to use it. All right, now for the front, so I have a water bottle, a Nalgene in a insulated container. So I'd start the hike with this warm in order to hopefully keep it warm for as long as possible. We got two massive hip pockets here in the front, and I know Bear Trek Adventure likes to cut off these hip belts from his packs. He wouldn't be able to cut these. Look at these things. These are beefy. They'd cut him. He wouldn't cut them. And these pockets are just fantastic. They're massive. So I usually just keep a lot of snacks. It's winter time, so you got to be aware of what kind of snacks you're trying to eat. You know, snacks can freeze in the winter, and suddenly you got rock hard food. But beef sticks, they're pretty easy to kind of break up and chew on and nosh on as you need them. And then I do like my gels, even in the winter. I'll keep a few in my coat to keep warm, and then a few in here, and then I'll just transfer the ones from here into my coat as necessary. The other pocket has all like little just various items I might need at one point or another. I got some sunglasses up high with the snow. It can be very bright. I have my personal locator beacon. I got a knife for bandits and a little chapstick here. So good to have. So you protect your lips. Let's see what's up top. So my very top pouch is just a lot of knickknacks and stuff that I'll need at some point. I have a battery for charging all my electronics. I got my extra GoPro batteries. More electronic stuff like cables, some batteries, and extra SD cards. Hand warmers. Also got some foot warmers. These things are great. Map. My headlamp. And then the green bag, little green bag. And then there, stuff like toiletries and first aid, some aspirin, compass, just various little bits and bobs. There's actually two pockets here. And the other one I have filled with winter gear, such as mittens. I'll spend a lot of time in these mittens. They come with liner gloves, and so I'll spend a lot of time switching between liner gloves and the mittens as needed. But they've kept me warm thus far. These are the Dakeen Scouts. I have just a cloth, one of those quick drying sports towels. It's good for just wiping down tarp with ice and stuff like that. Goggles, haven't needed them too often, but if it does start to get windy and snowy up high, you need to have a pair of these in order to be able to see. A nice warm fleece hat. Often I'll sleep in something like that. And a balaclava. Alright, so this pack actually has two pockets in the front. They're not connected, so each one is individual. So on this side I keep my raincoat. This is the Mountain Hardwear Foray. It's a bomber jacket. I love it. I'll wear this over my synthetic jacket and be warm and safe from the elements. So I'm a big fan of it. It's not light. It's great. Then I also have some rain pants, so these are waterproof. If the going gets tough, I can throw these on just for extra protection if need be. On the other side, I keep my shelter. So, got my continuous ridge line for my tarp. These are all my stakes and guy lines. And then the tarp itself, it's just in the snake. I decided I don't need to have it in another bag. I can just be right here and I'll pull it right out. It'll be the first thing that I can set up. So in inclement weather, I could pull the whole tarp system out, set that up, not have to take anything else out of the backpack. and then get underneath the tarp and then unpack. All right, now going to the main compartment. So first thing is food. Here my usual stuff. I got some dehydrated meal. I got dried pineapple. Of course my coffee. And then just snacks, more beef sticks, some bars, and some trail mix and stuff like that. I have another water bottle, a big Nalgene. This would be overkill on some trips, but if I think that water sources are going to be few and far between, then it's a good option to just bring this guy along with it, and I'll just stow that inside the pack. I have my stove. So the pot is titanium. So it's a titanium pot. It's very light. And then in that I keep the stove. So once you get down to cold weather camping, I think teens, the canister stove just isn't going to function. So at that point you need a different kind of stove. So I've been using this Whisper Light for the last 6 years. I've actually had it for 25 years. I bought this when I was 18. I was thinking I was going to do a ton of backpacking, and I promptly stopped hiking altogether. So it didn't get used for much of its time with me, but I started using it about 7 years ago. It's a great stove. It's more complicated than a canister stove, obviously. I just recently got the canister stove. 2021 was my first year with the canister stove, and yes, it is awesome. It was so easy to use. Compared to this is a lot of work. You pump it up, you get a little fuel in this dish, you light that, you let it burn. As it burns, it heats up the whole system, which allows the fuel to come out as a gas instead of liquid, and then you get the stove going, and then you're cooking. Haha. So this is my cold weather camping stove now. I don't see the point of using this in warmer months now that I have a canister stove. It's just so much easier and smaller to use the canister stove. But as long as I'm winter backpacking, this will have a place in my arsenal. All right, then we got extra clothes. So beyond the clothes that I'd be wearing, this is what I'll be bringing. I have 2 pairs of socks. That's probably redundant depending on the trip, but these would be heavy bedtime socks, and these would be backup socks if the socks I'm hiking in get wet. I got a thermal shirt. This is just polyester. Got some long johns. If it was really cold, I might wear these at the start of the hike, but by and large, I find that if I double these up with the activator when I'm hiking, I just get way too hot. So I normally just save these once you get to camp. If I'm going to be hanging around camp for a while before bed, I might try to slip them on. Otherwise, I just wait until it's bedtime and then wear these to bed. The now ubiquitous masks. So I think I'll bring a few masks to keep my face warm, as well as hopefully help with condensation so not as much frost accumulates on the ceiling of the tarp. And then just another base layer shirt, just in case, good to have. And that is it. Here we have my big puffy jacket. So that synthetic jacket is what I would hike in. This is what I would use once I'm at camp. This is a puffy LL Bean down jacket, 600 fill. I got this probably 6 or 7 years ago. Amanda and I were up at the LL Bean outlet in North Conway, and they were having some batshit crazy sale. It was unbelievable. They were selling this thing for 35 bucks. They had a whole rack of them. I should have bought another one. I regret it. But we got some great deals, including those storm pants that I showed you earlier. But this thing was $35. It is warm, warm, warm. So when I'm at camp, I throw this on and I'm very happy. It also becomes a sort of a extra layer for when I'm sleeping in the hammock. I can put it over me as an extra sort of half top quilt. And the hood actually detaches, so I can keep the hood on and still use the jacket as another layer. The hammock, right now, it's a Grand Trunk single. I do not like this hammock, I've decided. It is just too small on the sides. I constantly having to just make sure I have everything in it. So I need a new hammock. I need to get a better hammock. But right now, this is what I got. It's basic, simple hammock. And then the insulation. So I got 2 compression bags at the bottom of the pack. These are the last items. This one, my top quilt, Hammock Gear 20-degree burrow, and then a pair of down booties, which I love. They are very lightweight and they keep my feet warm. Finally, we got the big boy. This is the Hammock Gear Incubator 0-degree. It really lives up to that moniker. It is warm. It keeps me very warm. So I'm very happy with that purchase. So like I said, I'm comfortable with this gear down to 0 degrees, I feel. Even though the burrow is a 20-degree, I can sort of layer it with this coat for additional warmth. And I have certainly not been cold on trips. I took this, I took a similar setup to this down to 3 degrees on Mount Garfield last February with my friend Rob. And I wasn't warm in the morning, but I wasn't cold. I was just cool. So I consider that a success. But I have a bunch of other stuff that I could bring to try to get down a little lower. And I'll just show you what else I have. First of all, not for temperature, but for traction, these are crampons. These are basic, like beginner crampons, I guess you could say. I got them on consignment, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. I've only practiced in them a couple times and I've never actually used them. In the whites, generally I've found crampons are overkill. And while I've carried them a few times, I've never actually made use of them. So conceivably, I could bring crampons if I'm backpacking, but more likely than not, I would use crampons when I'm doing something as a day hike. So I don't see myself bringing them backpacking, but I guess you never know. So this is a Sea to Summit Reactor Silk Liner. So this is a, put this in your sleeping bag or top quilt, and it's basically you just crawl into it, and it's supposed to keep you a little warmer. I have used it, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, and the verdict is I hate it. I don't use it anymore. I don't like it. I find the liner doesn't do much because over the course of the night it always seems to wriggle down on me and end up pooled around my feet. It's a pain to try to kind of get into at times, and I didn't feel like I got really any kind of heat benefit from it. So not something I see myself using anytime in the future. Here's a little synthetic quilt Amanda got me a few years ago for Christmas. I brought this on trips and I'll probably bring it on more. You know, it's your basic quilt. It's not going to add a ton of heat, but you know, coupled with the top quilt, it'll definitely keep you warmer. So I brought it and we'll bring it again, and I consider it to be a good option. This is the winter sock. I've only used it once. I used it last February on Garfield. I didn't care for it. It's a little claustrophobic having it right around your hammock. It also flapped around quite a bit with the wind. And then the ice crystals were almost right on top of me in the morning. It was a pain to get in and out of without shaking the ice crystals. Yeah, I didn't like it. That's why I ended up going with the Winter Dream 12 tarp for this season. So I have doors now. So I feel that will be a good replacement for trying to get away with the winter sock. And then easily the thing I would turn to if I was looking at colder temps would be my other underquilt. This is a Hammock Gear Phoenix. It is 3/4 length, so it stops at your knees while the incubator goes and covers your feet as well. And it is rated for 30 degrees. So I could see myself bringing this with the incubator and just putting this underneath the incubator for additional heat. And that would get you pretty low, I believe, when you stack them like that. So there you go. That's what I bring for my hammock backpacking this winter in the whites. Let me know what you think. If you have any suggestions, post them in the comments below. Appreciate everyone watching this video, and we'll see you next time.